wild west coast of the South Island of New Zealand. And it really is wild today. I've got my sleeping bag, a rain tarp, a ground sheet, and some good food. And I'm going to head about an hour or two along the beach until I find somewhere nice to camp for the night. After the thundering of the waves, this is just so still and quiet. It's amazing. So beautiful. I'm absolutely blown away by how beautiful this is. The West Coast sandflies, along with the ones down in Fiordland, are some of the worst in New Zealand. Although I have to say I've encountered some terrible sandflies in Nelson Lakes as well. But in Okarito, which is where this walk starts from, they make their own insect repellent, their own sandfly repellent, and I'm pretty sure that that's because their sandflies are legendary. And right now I've got swarms of them all around me. Absolute swarms. I need to look after this water because there's no water source here. So this is all the water I have. There's nothing quite like a cup of tea to quench the thirst after you've walked for a couple of hours. It wasn't that far, but it probably took me about 2 hours. Walking along the beach is quite tough going. Lots of stopping and starting for me as well. And then searching around here to find a good spot. I think I found a good spot though, I'm happy with it. I love this big log because I think that's going to be a great place to sit, and I'll have the fire just over here. I've been looking carefully around this area and trying to work out where high tide is, because you can't walk that route that we took to get here when it's high tide because of the cliffs. But on the topographical map, this area just behind us is 15 meters above sea level. So water's not going to get all the way up there. I'm just not sure how far it comes here. Based on the pattern of the driftwood, where I can see the line of driftwood along the beach, and the fact there's grasses here, makes me think the water doesn't get up this high. But we will find out at 9:30 tonight, which is still time to move. Worst case scenario, if I find that I'm got water lapping at my camp, I'm going to have to shift even further that way. Right, let me get the tarp set up. That way I've got peace of mind, and I can do that while I'm drinking my tea, and then I'm going to collect some firewood. So I'm trying to get the one in the middle a little bit higher, just so I've got a bit more of a view. I thought I had the perfect stick and then it broke. I've dug a pit for the fire because it's just a little something that I don't really like, is to see people's fire pits when I go out walking. And so I always like to leave the environment looking as natural as possible. So by digging a pit, any of the ashes can be buried, and I can scatter the rocks tomorrow and nobody will even know that there's been a fire there. Cheers, everyone. Woo! That's what happens when you shake it up when you're walking. Oh, that was a good choice. I was trying to decide if I was going to feel like a beer, wine, or something non-alcoholic, and I decided to go non-alcoholic. This is Good Buzz boysenberry and apple organic kombucha. So good. I've got everything set up. There's just one thing I need to change. Wait there. I've got my Flextail R05 hiking mat with me, and it's bright. I can see it. It's bright orange, and I hate bright stuff when I'm doing a camp like this that just blends so beautifully into the environment. But unfortunately, my two hiking mats that are light, which is the Flextail R05 that I'm using, and my Experts in Light, they're both orange, and I think that's for safety reasons, so that if you get stuck, you know, if you're waiting for emergency services to turn up, you can bring your orange mat out and kind of, you know, fly it around. Here I am! But I don't want people to find me. Maybe one day I will, but I do have my personal locator beacon for that. I'd rather go unnoticed. So I do wish that some of these products had stealth versions. Right, I've come down here to see you because I was thinking that we might as well go down to the beach while the sun sets. We're going to have some soft tacos, some chicken tacos. So I've marinated the chicken. It's boneless, skinless chicken thighs in taco seasoning. And I've had that marinating overnight and today. And I'm just going to cook that up over the fire and put it in the soft taco wraps with some avocado and coriander and lettuce and cherry tomatoes, some aioli, and some lime juice. So that would be delicious. Still quite hot. Where the fun starts. And by fun I mean the challenge of not getting sand in my food. Oh, this smells beautiful. It smells really beautiful. Uh-oh. I do my best to give you guys a really good sense of what it's like when I'm camping by trying to let you hear all the natural sounds and see everything that I see. But one thing I can't share with you is the smell. And this smells amazing. You'll have to take my word for it. Right, we have got the barbecued chicken with taco seasoning, avocado, cherry tomatoes, lettuce and red onion. Oh my gosh, there's too much stuff here. Coriander. Love coriander. Aioli. And lime juice. finish getting it set up, but that's my mosquito net. It's pretty bougie, really. Definitely overkill, but it's all I've got, so don't judge. Morning. So the sandflies last night were insane. I was behind this mozzie net and they were on the other side, like literally I could hear them going and I'd open my eyes and there's just this swarm right there, like trying to get in. And then every now and then I'd realise that there were a few inside and they couldn't get out, and so then I'd have to kill those. And I think because they're sandflies, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure they live in the sand. So even though I had the mozzie net sort of tucked under stuff, I think they were coming up through the sand. So there was quite a few inside the mesh. So then I got my sleeping bag liner, which is reasonably thin, and put it all the way over my head and tightened it up so that they couldn't get in there. And I could breathe, but it was so hot. I think I've forgotten, because this is the first time in ages that I've camped down by the beach. I mean, last week I was camping in the mountains at about 900 meters above sea level, and it was 0 degrees overnight. Last night it was a low of 12 degrees Celsius, which is warm, and I had my winter weight sleeping bag, so I was actually really hot. And then with this sleeping bag liner over my head, oh yeah. So my mat, the Flextail Zero mattress R5, that it was comfortable. It was really nice and comfortable, and I didn't feel any cold underneath me, but I don't even know if there was any cold to feel. Yeah, that was comfortable, but my sleep wasn't that great, just because I was a bit hot. Well, I'm all tidied up. There's a whole lot of heavy rain coming this afternoon, and that's going to disguise all my footprints. But other than footprints, you wouldn't know that I've been here, which is the way that it needs to be. Leave no trace. For me, leave no trace as much as possible means not just don't leave any rubbish, but try to leave the environment like you found it. It's just the way I like to do it. I'd like to think that after this afternoon's rain, if somebody else comes along the beach the next day, they can walk right through here and feel like no one's ever been here. And of course, thousands and thousands of people have been along here. I mean, hundreds of thousands, probably millions, who knows. But isn't it nice to go somewhere and feel like you're the only person in that moment that's been there? I'm going to pack the camera away and we'll get going.
It's lovely, isn't it? Well, I probably should keep going. We've still got about an hour and 15 minutes to go. Take the inland route. I was just thinking how honoured I feel to have been able to have camped where I did. Even though New Zealand is an island, well, actually we are hundreds of islands. In fact, we've got two main islands, the North Island and South Island, and then there's also Stewart Island, there's the Chatham Islands, there are the Auckland Islands, there are all the islands in the Bay of Islands and Enable Tasman, and just islands everywhere. Even though we have a lot of coastline, it's actually really difficult, in my opinion. You might disagree if you're a Kiwi, but in my opinion, it's actually really difficult to find a place to legally camp on or near the beach in New Zealand. And when you look at the public conservation land around the South Island of New Zealand, you'll notice that there's not a lot of roads leading right through to the beach on public conservation land. So typically you have to walk to get to the beach. And those places where you can drive up to the beach have restrictions. You can't camp on the beach at or near the road end. And certainly here you'd have to walk for an hour and 15 minutes to even find a place that was safe to camp because of the headland. So you've got to put a bit of effort in, which I think is really good, because it does mean that if you're coming out and you're taking the effort, putting in the effort, you're going to take care of the environment. And I think, I don't know, I feel quite a heavy sense of responsibility as somebody who's making videos to put on YouTube. I don't want to make a big deal about it, but I do feel responsible. I know that on social media, if you recommend places, often there's an influx of visitors there, and the environment can't always handle that. So I'm not suggesting that suddenly tomorrow there would be 50 people camping on the beach here just because I came, but I do feel a sense of responsibility to, I suppose, remind people that it is a true honour to be able to share this environment. Any environment, actually. Any natural environment needs to be protected. So for all my Kiwi viewers, I've got a whole lot more than I used to have. You guys gone from being 5% of my audience up to 12.5%, which is pretty cool. 1 out of 8 of you are Kiwis, and yeah, I just encourage you guys to really think about looking after our special place, making sure you leave no trace, pick up rubbish if you see it when you're passing, play by the rules where when it comes to things like where you can take dogs and where you can light fires and that kind of thing. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. Goodness sake, I'm not perfect. So I'm not suggesting I am. I do push the boundaries sometimes. Bye, beautiful place. Hopefully I'll see you again one day. Oh, it's just so good to be out in nature. One of the things that I just love so much about nature is it's always here. And it's always free. And the great thing with YouTube is it's free as well. It's great to have a platform to share these experiences with you guys. That means that I can share it far and wide, and everybody can get a little bit of that optimism that I have got from being on these trips. But sadly the videos aren't free to make. That's the serious part of this, is there's a lot of time, energy and finance that goes into making them. So on that note, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of those people that support Adventure OT. Thank you to my YouTube Super Thanks donors, to my Buy Me a Coffee donors and my Buy Me a Coffee members. You guys are amazing. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to all of you for watching, subscribing, sharing the video. All of that really matters and really makes a difference. But at the end of the day, what actually matters the most is just that you like the video. That's all that matters to me. If you get something positive from it, I have succeeded. Take care, everybody. I look forward to seeing you on the next trip. Bye.